Our self-centered flesh says, I am the most important member in this church. Everybody else ought to be interested in what I think and what I want to see happen here at this church. That's our old Adamic nature. That's that self-centered nature where church is all about us. Let each esteem other better than themselves. I will view other members as more important than me. And then in verse 4, we are challenged to genuinely care about others instead of always just thinking about what we want. I will, here's the third I will statement, I will put the needs of other members ahead of my own personal interests. As we will see all throughout this series of messages, all churches, I repeat, all churches function better when the members have a Christ-like mindset instead of a consumer mindset. The right attitude will result in the right actions. Attitude matters. You're a member, maybe a regular attender here at Canton Baptist Temple. Your attitude matters a great deal to the success of our ministry. In other words, before we can do the right things, we have to be the right people. So attitude matters. Now, over the next few weeks, I'm going to share with you 4 attitudes that we all need to develop. 4 attitudes that you and I need to develop if we're really going to enjoy the blessings of God here at Canton Baptist Temple. But before I give you the very first attitude here today, I want to remind you of a few things. Now, you probably already know these things, but I want to remind you of these things, all right? Number 1, there are no perfect churches. Now, you know that, but you expect a perfect church. You know that no perfect churches exist. They don't exist in Canton, Ohio. They don't exist in the state of Ohio. They don't exist in the United States of America. No perfect church exists in the entire world. So if you're looking for a perfect church, you're in trouble. There are no perfect churches. Number 2, there are no perfect pastors. I'm not a perfect pastor. I admit that it is challenging to be a full-time minister. The constant demands of the ministry and the demands on the home front of being a husband and being a father and all the challenges of the administration and everything that goes on. And hey, I'm going to admit, there's times I drop the ball. I am not the perfect pastor. And after 18 years of being here, you ought to know that by now. But you also have enough gumption not to say amen, right? So I really appreciate that. Number 3, there are no perfect staff. This church is not perfect. I'm not perfect. My staff is not perfect. From time to time, we drop the ball. From time to time, we have good intentions, but it doesn't always happen the way it should. There's no perfect staff. But can I take it one step further? You know where I'm going with this. Number 4, there are no perfect members. You knew I was going to get there, didn't you? We need to have an attitude of unity. An attitude of unity. I want to talk to you about unity here this morning for a few minutes. No entity, no organization, and no church will survive very long without unity. Are you listening to me? No entity, no organization, even out in the secular world, no church will survive into the future without unity. At some point, we as Christians have to realize that us always getting what we want is not as important as the good, the health and the stability and the unity of the church. Throughout the years, I have seen churches split because of two members who were bound and determined to get their way no matter what. As a matter of fact, they didn't care what kind of damage took place as long as they won the argument. Have you been in churches like that? We all have. Where it was all about them getting what they want. It was all about them winning the argument. And they didn't care what kind of damage was done. They didn't care if people left the church. They didn't care if the church split right down the middle. It was all about them. You see, the issue is not can we or could we or should we, but the issue is will we have an attitude of unity?